British Vogue didn't make a spectacle when it released its inaugural best-dressed list. There was no dramatic rollout, no controversy teased in advance. Just a clean publication, a quiet drop, and a message that didn't need to be explained. Sitting at the very top was the Princess of Wales. Calm, unbothered, front-row energy without effort. But the moment that made people pause didn't come from who was crowned. It came seconds later when Vogue released a second list. 55 names, actors, designers, musicians, cultural insiders. Everyone had a lane. Everyone had a title. Everyone represented something Vogue was willing to stand behind. And one name many people expected to see simply wasn't there. Meghan Markle, no ranking. No honorable mention, not even a footnote. In fashion, criticism fades quickly. Silence doesn't. When a publication like Vogue goes quiet around someone entirely, it isn't accidental. It's deliberate. A door didn't slam. It closed softly. And that's how power moves when it doesn't need permission. Here's the part most people missed. This wasn't about clothes. Vogue made that clear. The list wasn't judging hemlines, silhouettes, or color palettes. It wasn't about trends or red carpet moments. It was about identity, about who you are when you wear what you wear. Vogue was measuring something deeper, cultural gravity, the ability to shape taste without chasing it. In this world, style isn't loud, it's restraint, it's confidence without explanation. Vogue doesn't reward noise. It rewards people whose influence arrives before they do. Once you understand that, the list stops looking like fashion commentary and starts reading like a power map. Who is trusted? Who is stable? Who is still considered safe to build around? And who no longer fits the room? That's why Catherine's placement mattered so much. Vogue didn't just include her, they crowned her. And they didn't use temporary language. They called her an eternal influencer. Not seasonal, not trendy, permanent. She was placed alongside figures whose relevance didn't require reinvention. Kate Moss, Naomi Campbell, Victoria Beckham. Icons who never chased attention because attention eventually chased them. Vogue praised Catherine's loyalty to British designers, her commitment to vintage fashion, and her almost uncanny ability to change a brand's trajectory with a single appearance. No interviews explaining it. No statements about intent. Just consistency. And then came the detail that mattered most. Vogue noted that her influence isn't expected to fade, it's expected to expand, especially as she steps closer to issuing royal warrants. That isn't fashion language, that's economic language. Translation, her presence doesn't just affect taste, it moves money. Slowly, calmly, predictably. What insiders call the Kate effect isn't a compliment. It's a measurable force. Brands sell out within hours. Designers see spikes that can be traced directly to one appearance. Billions move quietly over time. Vogue understands this fluently. They don't crown people because they're popular. They crown people because they stabilize systems. And that's when the contrast became impossible to ignore. One woman rose without asking. The other wasn't acknowledged at all. Suddenly, this wasn't a fashion story. It was a lesson in how influence actually works. Now circle back to that second list. 55 names, carefully selected. Amal Clooney praised for consistency. Musicians recognized for shaping both sound and style. Actors celebrated for eccentricity and confidence. Even the men had clearly defined lanes. Everyone represented something Vogue could articulate, and Meghan Markle still wasn't there. This wasn't about forgetting her. Vogue doesn't forget people of her stature. This was about definition. In elite circles, lists like this aren't popularity contests. They're clarity exercises. Who are you right now? What do you stand for? What lasts when attention fades? Vogue didn't explain her absence, because it didn't need to. Silence is how institutions speak when the answer is already settled. And the message was uncomfortable but clear. Whatever Meghan represents at this stage, Vogue no longer sees it as cultural authority. That's where the quiet rejection sharpened. According to reports and industry speculation, Meghan didn't wait passively for Vogue's attention. It's been said that outreach happened behind the scenes, but what allegedly arrived wasn't a casual collaboration request. It was framed with conditions. A full feature, prime placement, approval over images, approval over quotes, approval over narrative. To be clear, these details remain unverified and are based on insider chatter, not confirmed statements. But if true, they explain everything. Vogue works with powerful women constantly. There's just one rule they rarely bend. Vogue controls the story. Even global icons don't dictate editorial authority. Insiders suggest the tone of the request raised eyebrows, not because ambition is unusual, but because it felt entitled. Vogue isn't in the business of image repair. They don't rescue reputations. They protect their credibility. So when faced with a figure whose public image has become polarizing, paired with demands instead of trust, Vogue did what it always does. It declined. Politely, quietly, firmly. And in the fashion world, a polite no is louder than a public rejection. There was a time when Meghan's presence felt intriguing. New, slightly untouchable, mystique has power, but mystique is fragile. And once it's gone, it rarely returns. In elite fashion and media circles, overexposure isn't visibility. It's erosion. The more the public hears the same themes, the same explanations, the same carefully managed messaging, the weaker the impact becomes. Vogue thrives on distance, on unanswered questions, on letting an image breathe. Somewhere along the way, Meghan's story stopped breathing. Every appearance felt strategic. Every moment felt rehearsed. Every gesture seemed designed to communicate instead of simply existing. Fashion doesn't reward effort you can see, it rewards effort you never notice. And when mystery turns into predictability, even the most powerful platforms begin to step back. That step back didn't start with Vogue. Attention is loud, favor is quiet. Stepping away from the royal family was supposed to open doors. Freedom, opportunity, reinvention, that was the promise. But what it ultimately revealed was something far less glamorous. How much influence had been built into the institution itself. Outside the palace walls, the safety net disappeared. Media deals generated enormous attention. Headlines followed every move. Projects launched with global anticipation. But attention isn't the same as favor. Attention spikes, trends, and disappears. Favor is quieter. It decides who still gets invited when the noise dies down. Behind the scenes, results were mixed. Some projects landed, others struggled to maintain momentum. Invitations slowed, relationships cooled. Support became conditional. None of this happened dramatically. There were no public fallouts, just distance. The uncomfortable truth is this. The authority Meghan once carried didn't belong entirely to her. It flowed through proximity to the crown. Without that proximity, every move required more effort for less return. Freedom came, yes, but so did isolation. And in industries that value stability, isolation is dangerous. This is where the story moves beyond fashion and into power dynamics. Institutions don't chase attention. They protect favor. Vogue understands this instinctively. So does the monarchy. That's why both communicate the same way when they're confident. Through silence. Power that lasts doesn't argue, it waits. Catherine's influence continues to grow because it aligns with systems that move slowly and deliberately. Systems built on continuity, trust, predictability. She doesn't rush relevance, she allows it to accumulate. Over time, patience turns into inevitability. Meghan's struggle isn't about talent or ambition. It's about positioning. Once you place yourself in conflict with the structures that elevated you, attention may follow. But favor rarely does. And without favor, doors don't slam. They stop opening. This distinction matters. One woman learned how to let institutions speak for her. The other tried to speak louder than the institutions. And power doesn't respond well to pressure. Vogue didn't choose sides loudly. It didn't issue statements. It didn't explain itself. It crowned one and quietly passed on the other. And that decision speaks volumes. Influence doesn't vanish overnight. It relocates. It settles where it feels protected, where it doesn't need to perform, where it can exist without explanation. Right now, that influence feels most comfortable with someone who never demanded it. This isn't an ending. It's a pause, a recalibration, a moment where elite systems quietly decide what they're willing to invest in long-term. And the real question isn't who Vogue crowned this time. It's who will recognize the lesson before the next door closes just as quietly.